What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL video with your boy. Drop a like down below because I already know you're going to love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment anything in the comment section to enter your name into the $50 giveaway I do every single week on this channel. As you guys know, early on in the week we do the first look lineup video where I pretty much just touch on the guys in the first look lineup. I don't go too deep into things. In this video, we kind of talk about the core position by position. Now, I'm not going to talk about every player because every player is not really in play for me. I'm really breaking it down to guys that I have interest in, guys who are in the good spots, stuff like that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you every player is good because, I mean, that's, you know, I could just be done with my video now. Hey, everybody's good, guys. Peace. So I'm going to go position by position, really kind of give y'all a little player pool position by position and go from there. Feeling really good about this slate this week. Excited about it. Excited for college football again tomorrow. We have the crazy thing about college football is like we've had big years. The last couple years since we've been providing for it, um, both have been huge years. Like both have been ginormous. Like even if we have a down NFL week, college football has been huge for us over the last couple years, and I've always thought I'm like, okay, college football is like really like a big thing for us. This year it's bigger than ever. I mean, we've had like three almost takedowns. One that was, and then like three that were almost. Like every single slate we have almost I think we've missed only one college football slate, not cashed on only one. And we were close to cashing on that one. And on the other ones, not only are we cashing, but we're cashing by a ton. So I'm excited for another college football slate, man. We've been doing so well with it. I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy for everybody to be having that success in college football. It's been a big thing that's been added to Greenlight that's been making a big difference. So that gets added to NFL packages. So if you can play college football, take advantage for sure. It's been free money this year, pretty much. All right, so let's get into this final look, guys. I'm gonna go position by position. First guy I want to talk about is Joey B. Joe Burrow is a big time option for me. Okay, it's a great matchup against Atlanta. I think this game stays competitive. The game is in Cincinnati. He's at home. He's got amazing weapons like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I just really love this spot for Joe Burrow when it comes to stud quarterbacks this week. Joe Burrow's one of those guys that I have really had some exposure in. And like I said, a lot of times when I pick my quarterback, I either pick him because he can really run a lot, like a Lamar Jackson, like he's got a good rushing floor, or I pick him because I love his weapons. And I love pairing him up with his weapons. So Joe Burrow is one of those guys this week. Really, really love him. Outside of an interesting tidbit, outside of Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow's the only other quarterback on this slate that is projected 2.5, that has his line at 2.5 passing touchdowns. Okay? Like, that's an interesting thing to consider. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow is the only other quarterback with a line at 2.5 for passing touchdowns. So that is very interesting. Um, I am like that's something definitely I was like, okay, that's an interesting thing right there because I was battling between Burrow and Dak. Those are really two guys that I really love this week, especially if I'm paying up at quarterback. And I'll talk about some spend down guys, but if I'm paying up at the quarterback position, Dak and Joe Burrow have been kind of the go-to guys I've been looking at. Now, the thing that edges Burrow for me is not only that Vegas tidbit, like kind of be like, okay, that's interesting. But Dak Prescott also is in a blowout situation. You know, they could blow out Detroit and it'd be a lot of Zeke. Now, it could be big time to have to do with Dak to why they're up. He could throw three quick touchdowns. But I like playing quarterbacks in a more competitive spot. I don't like to predict them dominating first half and then running the ball a ton in the second. You know what I mean? I don't like to predict that. If a game script is kind of heavily in a blowout situation, I don't like to get too involved in that because at the end of the day, yes, they could go out and throw four first half touchdowns, no problem. For sure they could. That's possible. But I don't like to predict them doing that. I like to predict it more of a balanced attack. So I do like Dak Prescott, and once again, I like CeeDee Lamb. I like his pairings with guys. So that's another reason I like him. And I mean, you can't ask for a better matchup against Detroit. I mean, and at home in Dallas, and you know Dak's coming back with something to prove. But Joe Burrow just really sticks out to me this week. All right, so I really love Joe Burrow in GPPs. I like Herbert. I think Herbert's going to go low owned. Seattle's been a horrible defense this year. The Chargers are at home, so Justin Herbert's a fantastic option. When you've got guys like Austin Eckler, you've got Mike Williams. I mean, you've got good passing options. Gerald Everett's really been showing up for them. when you've got passing guys like that in the offense, I'm not sure. Let me double check if Keenan Allen is back or not. Let me verify what's going on with Keenan. So Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is getting in limited practices, so not 100% at this moment whether he plays or not. If he's back, that's even more of a bump to Herbert. But like I said, I like Herbert. Definitely the spot is interesting. I think this is another kind of shootout potential game. Let me check and see what that spread was between these two. So it opened at a minus 8.5 for the Chargers. It has gone down to a 5. So that's very interesting. That's a closer spread than the Bengals spot as well. So in GPPs, Justin Herbert paired up with, some of his receivers is interesting for sure. I kind of like the Eckler side of it. So obviously Eckler's a wide pass catching running back, so it does correlate with Herbert and Eckler, but it's not 100% ideal still, when it comes to correlation and lineup construction. So yeah, but Joe Burrow, yes, I love Joe Burrow. I love pairing him with Jamar Chase. That's my favorite option. But T Higgins is also a fantastic option. Let me see the price real quick. Difference between so you've got T Higgins is priced at 6.4, and then you've got Jamar Chase who's priced at 8.2. So T Higgins and Jamar Chase are pretty close. Point per dollar, I'd side Higgins. Straight up, I love Chase. So that's a fantastic spot there. Anyways, the only negative that you could possibly think of is like I don't love much run back from Atlanta. That's the only down part. Like at least with Justin Herbert, I like some of the run back on the Seattle side. Um, but anyways, still, yeah, I love Joe Burrow. I'm not gonna waste too much of y'all's time. Outside of that, Derek Carr against Houston, fantastic matchup for Derek Carr here. He's at home in Las Vegas. He's got Devontae Adams as one of his receivers. He's got Renfro back. He's just in a good spot, man. He's got a good amount of targets, and I really love this spot for him. Let me check on Darren Waller, see if Darren Waller is back real quick. He's missing practice so far, so he's probably trending more towards doubtful. But I love the targets Derek Carr has, and at 5'9", he's a fantastic option. Geno Smith is going to be playing from behind at 5'6", once again. Just all this year he has been a fantastic quarterback, and once again they're just pricing him, at a level where it's just too cheap. Marcus Mariota, I mean, with his rushing ability at 5'5", is a solid option, but that's about it, y'all. I'm really leaning Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow as cash game guys I really like. Justin Herbert I really love for GPPs. Geno Smith and Derek Carr are two guys I also really like. Let's move on to running back. I don't want this video to be like a million days long. We have Christian McCaffrey at the top. Well, now this is something I'm going to adjust because we don't know 100% what's going on there. He was traded to San Francisco, which is huge for San Francisco. Man, like that's big. Christian McCaffrey is going to be a beast there. I love that. Especially with a run-heavy team like San Francisco. That's awesome for Christian McCaffrey. He could be able to rejuvenate his career if he could stay healthy. But so I'm not really going to talk much about McCaffrey right now because we don't really know the situation there. Let's talk Leonard Fournette. Now he's priced up at 7.7. I don't love the price for him at 7.7. Okay, I don't love that price, but the game script is exactly what you look for here. This is a big time blowout situation here. Carolina's without Christian McCaffrey. Robbie Anderson got traded. They're just torn apart. Leonard Fournette is going to get a ton of run here. 20 plus carries most likely. 100 plus yards. Possibly 2 touchdowns. At 7.7, he's definitely in the player pool for me. Derrick Henry for sure is a solid option. I like Derrick Henry as an option. At 8.2, he's always an option, though, as a stud spend up. Austin Eckler, I talked about that game briefly. I really like the Chargers-Seattle game. With it, it's just a high total, and I really like that spot there for them. So Austin Eckler at 8.3 is a fantastic option. Josh Jacobs at 6'5 really sticks out to me. This is a great matchup against Houston, who's bad versus the run. In a spot where, let me see what the spread is real quick for this one. So Las Vegas is a 7-point spread, so that's great for Josh Jacobs. That's what you're really looking for when it comes to that. So not only is Las Vegas up, they have a decent team total. Great matchup against Houston. Josh Jacobs has had huge usage at 6'5. Obviously, if you're going the Derek Carr route, I wouldn't play Jacobs, but I love Jacobs this week. Joe Mixon you can consider, but I side with Burrow, baby. Burrow's having a big game this week. Saquon Barkley is okay. Kenneth Walker at 5'8" is definitely interesting. Like I said, I've mentioned this game multiple times. I like this game. The game script's not fantastic, but this only 5-point underdogs. Kenneth Walker's going to get some high usage in this offense. We already know that. And it's just a solid spot here. He's still got the 3 targets, so he's probably going to see 15 to 20 carries and still get about 3 targets in the pass game, maybe even more than that in the pass game with them trailing. So I do like Kenneth Walker. Brees Hall, definitely interesting option as well at 6'2". Really like Brees Hall here. He's the workhorse back for the Jets, and that's always good. Ezekiel Elliott in GPPs is really interesting to me. Now, obviously, Pollard could always go out and just smash early and then utilize him heavily, and it'd be a big split there. But Zeke is still the guy in Dallas. He's getting most of the work, and it is a big blowouts position. They could really lean heavily on Zeke in the second half, and if Zeke gets in the end zone once in the first half, he's probably going to get in again in the second half with the amount of work he's going to be getting in a blowout situation against a bad defense. So Zeke is definitely interesting to me at 6K. Really, really like that spot. And that's a good pivot off of if Dak is going to be super high owned paired with like CeeDee Lamb or whatever. Getting off of that and going Zeke instead and playing the run game is definitely a solid, sneaky GPP route to get off that higher owned and play the other side. So if Dak doesn't go out and have a huge game and they do get up early big and they run a lot with Zeke and Zeke vultures a lot of touchdowns in the red zone, then this is going to be a huge, huge week for you. DeAndre Swift. Let me make sure how he's looking, man, because we know how Swift is. I got to refresh my memory on DeAndre Swift. All right, so DeAndre Swift is limited throughout practices. Not sure 100% if he's going to play or not. If he's 100% go and going to play his normal snap share, DeAndre Swift's fantastic option at 6'8" because he's a wide receiver for this Detroit team, and they're going to be behind against Dallas. So it's interesting. I don't love the price for a guy coming back from injury, so I probably won't have much of him if I'm playing GPP. And if I was playing a ton of lineups, then I would probably have one with him if he's a full go and going to get his normal snap share. But yeah. Jeff Wilson, no interest now with McCaffrey, but if McCaffrey's not active yet, Wilson's okay at 5'8". But that's about it, y'all. That's about it for the running backs. Wide receiver. It all comes down to what you're going at QB, honestly. Unless you're playing a QB and you're just kind of playing him for his rushing ability. CeeDee Lamb if you're playing Dak. Devontae Adams if you're playing Carr. Jamar Chase if you're playing Burrow. T. Higgins if you're playing Burrow, also solid option. If you're playing Geno Smith, DK Metcalf. If you're playing Justin Herbert, running back with DK Metcalf is interesting, especially if Lockett happens to miss. He's been limited, so pay attention to that. What else? If Keenan Allen is back and he's a full go, he's interesting, especially if you have Herbert. But at 6'7", he's probably not going to get full run on his first game back. This is too much of a blowout to really want much Chris Godwin. Amon-Ra St. Brown is in a fantastic spot playing from behind. They're going to throw damn near every play of this game probably at a certain point. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is definitely somebody I have interest in for sure, especially for run back of Dak and CD if you plan to go that route. Mike Evans, once again, that's a blowout situation. Brandon Cooks definitely sticks out to me a lot here for Houston. He's a highly targeted guy for Houston. They're going to be playing from behind. Las Vegas has been bad versus the pass, so Brandon Cooks is definitely interesting at 6K, especially for some Devontae Adams, Derek Carr run back. You guys get it. I've been talking a lot about roster construction and correlation and stuff. That type of thing is perfect, man. If you're playing Carr and Adams and you're predicting Las Vegas to be scoring with those two and having success with those two, that means on the other side you're going to want Cooks to be doing good because then they will continue doing good, and it just all comes together beautifully. Lockett, once again, is too cheap. If he's full go, I'm all over Lockett once again. Just his usage in this offense is fantastic. The matchup for Pittman is amazing. I talked about it early on in the week. There's some other guys I kind of prefer as the week has gone on. Like I'd prefer to find money for Jamar or go T. Higgins straight up, especially if I have Burrow. What else? Drake London to run back the Burrow and Higgins, or run back Burrow and Chase, or whatever you decide to do. I love Drake London a lot in this. He's been a little iffy, but he is Atlanta's #1 receiver, and he will have his big moments throughout this season. And this is an interesting spot here. It's not the best matchup against. I'm not sure who he's going to face. Awuzie possibly. And Awuzie's been pretty good. Awuzie's been shadowing #1, so we'll see what happens there. But Drake London is decent run back. If Drake London is going to be shadowed, then Kyle Pitts definitely is interesting to me because he should see some open looks as well. That's about it, man. News came in about a trade for the Jets, so some Jets receivers for value are interesting. Let me see. Short point per salary real quick and look at what we got here. CeeDee Lamb is still at the very top, especially if you're playing Dak. He's a fantastic option against Detroit, but it is a blowout situation. So understand that if CeeDee Lamb is not a huge part of them getting up to begin with, then he might not hit value, but he's a solid spot. T. Higgins, definitely. I already talked about him. Let's see. No matter what, I'm probably not going to have much, of that. Tight end spot. Okay, so I pretty much talked about all the wide receivers we like. Let's go to tight end. All right. Sorting point per salary. Dolchich once again. This is an athletic dude. We played him in the primetime game. Greg Dolchich is a solid option for me here. I mean, dude's only 2.5, and he's a athletic young guy who they're going to want to get involved here. He caught his touchdown. He had a solid game last time out at 2.5. I like him. Dalton Schultz, if you're playing Dak Prescott, do your thing. If you're playing a stack of Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, running it back with Kyle Pitts, I already talked about. If Drake London's going to be shadowed, then Kyle Pitts is definitely going to open up. Gerald Everett in that high total game. Chargers are the highest total team on this slate. Okay, against Seattle. Gerald Everett sticks out at 4K. Um, in that same game, Noah Fant to run back. Mark Andrews is always a good play if you end up going Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and Andrews is going to be a very low owned pairing, I believe. But that's fine for GPPs. Hayden Hurst. I mean, nobody's probably going to pair Burrow with Hurst. They're probably going to do more Jamar Chase and Higgins, but Hurst is sneaky. Darren Waller, if he is in fact in and going to play his normal workload, then him, if you have Derek Carr, is interesting. It's all about pairing. I mean, you play your tight end with your quarterback, or punt tight end is normally what I like to do, or correlate it with your stack. So like I said with Pitts, right? We're not playing Mariota most likely, but we do have interest in Burrow, Jamar Chase, Burrow, Higgins. So running it back with Pitts makes sense to correlate the lineup. All right. In defense, I'm still leaning Jets. Denver has been so bad this year. I'm still leaning Jets as my favorite spend down defense. Most times I just spend down for defense. So the Jets D is definitely where I'm sticking with. If I sort by projection, just top projected guy, Buccaneers obviously are at the very top at 3.9. If you have the money, it makes sense because Carolina is in shambles. Shambles. Okay, they are horrible. So Buccaneers are huge favorites. They're going to get up big, and there's going to be a lot of mistakes made by Carolina. Buccaneers could drop a 20-piece. So I'm going to make this simple for y'all. I'm going Buccaneers at 3.9, or I'm spending down for the Jets at 2.6. That's simple as that. Hopefully I was able to touch on everybody you guys have had questions about, man. Good luck for week 7, ladies and gentlemen. Greenlightdfs.com to join the squad. Let's get it. Let's smash NBA tonight. If you haven't seen the NBA High Five, go check that out. It's on my page right now. I've already posted some prize picks for NBA today, looking sexy. So let's do it, man. Let's start this season up hot. As we know, we're in the beginning, early stages of the season for NBA. You know, Blues. Same thing for NFL. Kind of the beginning-ish area of NFL main slates, at least, haven't been the greatest. You know, we had a lot of bad luck, had some injuries happen to us, all that stuff. But college football showdowns and primetimes have really come through and been great for us this year. With NBA, beginning of the season, Blues kind of beginning, and 2 slates already with only 2 games, which is lame. So I'm excited about today having a big slate again. So ready to get things going. Let's go ahead and get back into it, baby. Let's get it. Thank you guys for joining me as always. Drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, comment anything for that giveaway, and I'm out, y'all. Have a good weekend.